Hello everyone. We are going to talk about fractions and the various operations that can be performed on the fractions. This is in continuation with the last video we had, which was about the basics of fraction, like what are fractions, the various types of fraction, and how to compare and find the equivalence of the fractions. So today we are going to talk about how to have your fractions added, then subtracting fractions. We'll talk about multiplication and division of fractions, and we'll even talk a little about how to add the mixed fractions. Let's get started with adding fractions. Now, when you add fractions, the first and foremost important thing is you need to take a look at the denominators of the fractions which are there and on which you're going to perform an addition or subtraction, right? So when the denominators are same, it's easy. It's just that you need to add the numerators and you will find the answer of adding your fractions. For example, here you have 3 by 8 adding 2 by 8 to it, right? So as the denominators are same, both the fractions are having denominator as 8. This makes it easy just to add up the numerators, that is 3 and 2, and you'll get your final answer as 5 by 8, right? So when the denominators are same, you just have to add the numerator. A quick tip to remember is that look at the denominator. If it is same, then just add up the top. So denominator is at the bottom and numerators are there at the top. So the tip for remembering about adding fractions when the denominators are same is same bottom, add the top. Yeah. Now what about when the denominators are different, right? So here there are two methods. First thing you have to do is you have to make the denominators same. And how you would do it? You would either find the LCM of the two denominators, or you will use the method of cross multiplication by the denominator, right? So what does that mean is, let's take an example here, a simple example. You have 1 by 2 to be added with 1 by 3. Now the first thing to look at is denominator. The denominators are different. So what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to make them same. Let's take a look at first using the LCM method. So you have to identify a lowest common multiplier for 2 and 3, right? So the lowest common multiplier of 2 and 3 is 6. The LCM of 2 and 3 is 6. So what we would do, we would convert both the fractions using this LCM. So 1 by 2 would get converted to 3 by 6 and 1 by 3 would get converted into 2 by 6. Now we have both the fractions having same denominator, right? So now you are going to do 3 by 6 plus 2 by 6. Now here the denominator is same, that is 6. We are just going to add up the numerator. That's going to give you 5 by 6. Yeah. Now the simple method, another one is by cross multiplication, right? I personally find cross multiplication by denominator as easier one, but if you're good to identify an LCM of the denominator real quick, you can use even the LCM method. Now what to do in the cross multiplication method? So you have 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3. What we are going to do here is you would multiply the first fraction by the denominator of the second fraction, that is 1 by 2 is gonna get multiplied by 3, right? And then you have 1 by 3 that is gonna get multiplied by 2. All right, so that's what is mentioned here. Your 1 by 2 is gonna get multiplied by 3, both denominator and the numerator. And 1 by 3, that is the second fraction, is gonna get multiplied by 2, that is denominator of the first fraction, right? So 1 multiplied by 2 and 3 multiplied by 2. This is gonna give you 3 by 6 plus 2 by 6. Now, with the cross multiplication, we have made the denominator same, right? Now to add up this is real simple. What we have learned earlier is like just add the tops, right? So we are just gonna do 3 plus 2, that is gonna give you 5 by 6, right? So you have to make sure that you always change only the top and bottom together, right? That's the trick. So you just have to make sure that you are changing both top and bottom together. Convert your fractions into the fractions having same denominator, and then it makes it easy to add or subtract, right? Now coming to subtracting fraction. Subtracting is also having two types. Now again, when your denominators are same and denominators are different. Pretty much same as what we are going to do for adding the fractions. When you are subtracting the fractions, you just have to subtract the numerator when the denominators are same. So your important thing that is to look at the denominator is primary, right? You find that okay, denominator is same, you would just go and perform the operation of subtracting. 7 from 2 gonna give you 5 by 8. So your tip remains the same bottom, subtract the top, right? Now what in case of subtracting the fractions which are having different denominators? Similar to what we did for addition of the fractions, we are going to make the denominators same. Again, you have a method of using LCM and a cross multiplication by denominator. So for this example, let's say we are having 7 by 2 minus 4 by 3. Look at the denominators, they are different, right? 2 and 3. So we'll identify the LCM of 2 and 3, that is 6. Now we would convert each fraction using this LCM. So 7 by 2 gets converted into 21 by 6, right? And 4 by 3 is going to get converted into 8 by 6. Now I have the fractions with common or same denominator. Now it would be just like simple subtraction. 21 by 6 minus 8 by 6. As the denominators are same, what we would do? We would just subtract the numerator. So we would do 21 minus 8. That is going to give you 13 by 6. Right? Now taking a look at cross multiplication method. Again, the same. What we would do, first fraction is going to get multiplied by the denominator of the second fraction. Alright. And second fraction is going to get multiplied by the denominator of the first one. Alright. So that gives you 7 by 2 multiplied by 3 to both numerator and denominator, minus 4 by 3 is going to get multiplied by 2, that is 4 multiplied by 2 and 3 multiplied by 2. Both nominators and denominators you have to multiply. This is going to give you 7 multiplied by 3, that is going to give you 21. 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, minus 4 multiplied by 2, that's going to give you 8, and 3 by 2 is again 6. Now as the denominators are same, we would do the subtraction for the numerators, right? That is 21 minus 8 is going to give you 13 by 6. Alright, so similar to adding the fractions with different denominator, again you have to remember that change only the top and bottom together. Alright, that's going to give you a correct subtracting answer, no matter even if the denominator in the initial example is different. Let's take a look at multiplying the fractions. This is real simple. Multiplying is really straightforward. You just have to go and multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. Alright, so here's we are having an example. If you had 2 by 3 to be multiplied by 4 by 5, you will just do the multiplication of 2 and 4, numerator to numerator. So 2 multiplied by 4 is 8, 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. It is that easy. Right? Now let's say if you have some big numbers into your fractions, so even your multiplication is going to be bigger, right? So what we would do in that case, we would first simplify the fractions and then do the multiplication, right? So it's going to make your multiplication easy. So what happens here is we would use the trick of cross cancelling. Now what do you mean by cross cancelling? Let's take a look at the example. I have 88 by 3 to be multiplied by 4 by 55, right? Now multiplying 88 by 4 and 3 and 55 is going to give you a big multiplication, right? You cannot just do it in the click for that sake. What we would do, we would use the method of cross cancelling. What it means? It means we would identify if there are numbers which can be divided by a common factor, right? So for 88 and 55, I can easily cross cancel these by dividing it by 11, right? So what I would do, 88 by 11 is going to give you again 8, and I'm going to divide 55 by 11, that's going to give me 5. So I'm going to cross cancel 88 and 55 as 8 and 5, because I'm making them smaller by dividing them with a common factor, right? So now this gives me 8 by 3 multiplied by 4 by 5. Now this is simplified, right? So now this multiplication makes it easier. 4 multiplied by 8 is going to give you 32, and then 3 multiplied by 5 is 58. All right, so that is how you cross cancel the either denominator or numerator with a common factor that they have among them. So the trick for multiplying fractions with big number multiplication is, first simplify the fractions, try to make them to their lowest possible value, right? And then do the multiplication. So it is cross cancelling, and then do your regular multiplication. Let's take a look at how to do the divisions for fractions, right? Now there's a golden rule to remember for dividing the fraction, and the rule is keep, change and flip, right? Now keep, change and flip, just three things representing the three steps that you need to remember and follow for dividing the fractions. Let's say you have A by B divided by C by D. What is this going to be equals to? You would change it into a multiplication by flipping the second factor. All right, so the second factor is being flipped. Instead of C by D, it has become D by C, and you have a multiplication now. So the rule that refers to the steps are: keep the first fraction as is, you change the division operation into a multiplication operation, and then flip the second fraction. Now, right, let's take a look at the example. I have 2 by 3 divided by 4 by 5. Okay, so now I'll follow the step. Keep the first fraction as is. All right, that is 2 by 3. Change division to multiplication, division to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. The second fraction was 4 by 5. I am going to flip it, that is making it upside down. It is going to be 5 by 4. Now this is your simple multiplication. All right, so you would do 2 multiplied by 5, that is 10, and 3 multiplied by 4, that is 12. Have further simplified it to 5 by 6, right? You can leave it as 10 by 12 also, which is also correct answer, but it is always nice to simplify the fraction to its lowest value. All right, so that's what dividing the fraction is. Remember, the rule is keep, change and flip. Keep the first fraction as is, change division into multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. Let's take a quick look at adding the mixed fractions. So I have just talked about adding mixed fractions. So if you remember, what are mixed fractions? Mixed fractions are the fractions along with a whole number. So mixed fractions always have two parts: one whole number and then a fraction, right? We'll see it in the example. So to add the mixed fraction, the method is add separately. What do you mean by add separately? Basically, it is add the whole numbers separately, then add the fraction, and then combine them together and simplify if needed, as I mentioned, right? Let's take an example of 2 1 by 4 plus 3 2 by 4. So now 2 1 by 4 is a mixed fraction, right? You have a whole 2 and then you have a fraction as 1 by 4. So as a whole 3 and the fraction as 2 by 4. So what the method says? The method says add separately. So add your whole numbers, then add your fractions, and then combine them together. That gives us 2 plus 3, then 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4, right? That is a simple addition of the fractions. So 2 plus 3 gives me 5, and 1 by 4 plus 2 by 4 gives us 3 by 4. What does this really mean? 5 whole and 3 by 4 as a fraction. That is 5 3 by 4. So the final addition of these two mixed fraction is 5 3 by 4. And what we have done, we have added the whole numbers separately, we have added the fractions separately, and then just join them together or add them together. All right, so that's been for adding your mixed fractions. I guess we have covered all the operations on this. It's been really great to learn the quick tips for having your fraction operations performed. We talked about adding and subtracting fraction for same denominator, different denominator. We talked about multiplying and dividing fractions with the quick tricks and the golden rules there. We even talked about adding the mixed fraction with the separate add methods. Alright, that's pretty much for this video. Hope you liked it. Just to check your understanding, we have a practice quiz added onto the description. There's a link. You can try yourself on that. Thank you so much for watching.